My parents have always favored my younger brother. I was by no means unloved, but it was blatantly obvious who they cared about more. I worked a part-time job to get my first car, but my brother got one as a present. It wasn't new, but it was much newer than my car. It was the same with anything else, like clothes, video games, and cell phones. I'm 18 and taking a gap year before community college to work a full-time job and save money for tuition. But a while back, I heard my parents talking about how much they would pay for my brother's tuition. I secretly recorded the conversation from around the corner and then came out, asking my brothers why they were going to pay for my brother's college, but not mine. They didn't notice my phone was recording and just said that my brother needed more help. I asked how so when I wasn't getting any scholarship, and he likely wouldn't either. Then I asked a few more questions about why things have always been this way. Finally, they got mad, and my father told me that perhaps it was time I moved out because they were sick of keeping a roof over my head. I pointed out that I pay rent, but they didn't care. In a fit of rage, I left the room and uploaded the video to 2 different social media sites I have and ranted about how this is how my parents have always been. Well, a few hours later, my parents were pounding at my door. My dad was screaming at me about how I made them look bad. So we fought some more, and they left the room fuming. My grandparents contacted me later and said that they were appalled, then visited with a lot of the family the next day. There was a huge family intervention, and my parents were made to sit on the couch and look at their feet while being told off. It was then I found out that they'd been receiving money for years from my grandparents to help with family expenses. My brother looked like he didn't know what to do, so we sided with the rest of the family and said he's noticed how I'm treated as well. My parents gave me a huge apology that sounded forced. My grandparents have offered that I come live with them soon and cut off the monthly payments to my parents. My father told me I should have never said anything to the rest of the family and now won't talk to me. And my mother has been crying for days. So I'm starting to wonder if I went too far. So am I the idiot for exposing my parents' favoritism? Not the idiot. Your parents are just angry because people know the truth about them, and they're no longer going to be receiving handouts from your grandparents. That's what they're upset about, losing the free money. Go live with your grandparents. They sound fantastic with how quickly they backed you. OP, you didn't make them look bad. They made themselves look bad, and the rest of your family is fortunately intelligent enough to know that. Go with the grandparents. They sound like good people. You should also check that you don't live in a place where secretly recording is illegal, like California. From the way you've described your parents, I wouldn't put it past them to go after you for damages, especially if your grandparents cut them off. It breaks my heart that her mother cried only because she lost her mommy and daddy handout, not because of how much she hurt her child. Like God, even the golden child noticed something was up and sided with the rest of the family. Not the idiot, OP. Go live in the safe and supportive environment you've always deserved. They were given monthly payments for family expenses, not their favorite child expenses. Plus, if they didn't do anything wrong, they wouldn't be upset about you telling the rest of the family, nor would there be an intervention. Favoritism is horrible and causes a lot of damage. I mean, you are getting kicked out for asking why your little brother was getting help and you weren't. I hope you take your grandparents' offer to move out and save money to pay tuition fees. Oh, and don't feel guilty about anything. Your parents made this bed, and they had to lay in it, not you. OP, maybe you should have a talk with your grandparents about what happened during your birth, about why your dad is this hostile to you. Is there something that happened at your birth that made him feel this way? No matter what, it's never your fault though. Your parents, especially dad, are just sus. I've been dating this woman I'll call Julie for a year and a half. We are both 24. Julie is great, but if there's one thing I don't love about her, is that she's one of those dog moms. Like she's constantly referring to her Yorkie, I think that's what it is, as her child, which I can't stand. She has a stroller that she takes the dog out in that I find utterly ridiculous. When she isn't home, she puts the dog in her crate to prevent it from messing all over the apartment, a rule we both agreed on when moving in together. The problem is that she goes through separation anxiety from the dog, and if we go somewhere for more than 2 hours, she starts to have a panic attack, saying that we need to get home because the dog needs to be out of the crate. Now, I know people who have kept their dogs in crates for much longer, and it's fine. But Julie starts getting all upset, saying how sad and abandoned her child probably feels. We need to go let her out. Julie and I were at a bar over the weekend with some of our friends. A couple of friends came in from out of town, and it was great getting to be back with everyone. We got there at 8 p.m., and by 10, Julie started to get paranoid. She started saying we needed to leave soon because the dog had been crated for too long. She kept making small comments, letting me know that she wanted to go and was getting upset. I finally decided I had enough, and I asked to talk to her outside, away from everybody. I said something along these lines. Look, if you would like me to call you an Uber to go back, I will, but it's not my dog. I'm done letting a damn dog dictate my social life. It probably doesn't mind being in a crate, and if it does, it's a dog. So whatever. You can go, but I'm staying with our friends. Your dog isn't my responsibility. She got angry and told me that not supporting the dog was not supporting her. I said there's a difference between supporting a dog and revolving my life around one, and the latter is not something I'm willing to do. She ended up leaving and I stayed. We got in a fight when I got home, and she's been weird ever since. I apologized if I sounded rude and hurt her feelings, but I stand by the principle of what I said. It's a dog, not a kid, and you can leave your dog at home for however long to go live your life. I don't see how that's a problem. You are the idiot. Dude, why are you with a woman you so obviously despise? Of course you're not the idiot for not wanting to leave your friends for her dog, but this started way before then. You knew about her dog and how she felt about it before you moved in. So as much as I think she's going way overboard, she obviously has some anxiety she might benefit from getting help for, and has her priorities kind of messed up. But I still think you're wrong because you chose to be with her, and now you show contempt for her. Are you surprised that she didn't magically change when your superior self moved in? I don't think it's unreasonable that the dog is not crated for more than a few hours. I'm saying this as someone who can't stand dogs and will never own one, but his callousness toward her dog is shocking. Either he's jealous or genuinely has no regard for its well-being. If the dog is well trained and you put pee pads out, there's no real reason to crate a dog for that long. If OP was worried about his house getting destroyed, and these concerns are valid, they need to train it better. Either way, it's unfair to leave a dog in a cage for so long. Not the idiot for your feelings, but you were wrong for how you expressed them. Your girlfriend seems to have an unhealthy attachment to her dog, which probably adds to the dog's own anxiety. It may not be your dog, but you need to respect how she feels, as she should respect how you feel. This seems like something you should have discussed before moving in together. Everyone's the idiot here. Just break up with her. You can't even fake caring about something that is clearly very important to her. Worse, you look down on her for being passionate about something she loves. Let her go find a dog-loving partner, and you can go ahead and date someone who doesn't have any obligations besides you. I, 38 female, and my husband, 40, have been celebrating Thanksgiving with his family since being together. We celebrate Christmas with my family. We would have the families be together during the holidays, but there has been tension lately. I'm a vegetarian, and I will bring my food to dinners. His family will crack jokes about the food that I bring. Another huge issue is that I'm asked to sit at the kids' table since I had my daughter, young child. My parents are celebrating Thanksgiving with other family members in their lake house, about an hour away. I told my husband that my daughter and I would be going to the lake house to celebrate with my family. My husband was upset and said, "What? My mom is planning on making you a vegetarian meal, just for you." I looked at him and said, "I will celebrate with my family. Nothing would change my mind." His mother calls me and starts yelling at me that I hurt her and her husband's feelings. My husband has made comments about not celebrating Christmas with my family. Am I the idiot for going to my family's Thanksgiving instead of my husband's? Everyone's the idiot here. It sounds like you unilaterally changed the plans without talking to your husband about it. Of course he should have been backing you up all these years, and you may be justified in skipping his family's dinners with the way you've been treated, but you should have at least discussed it with him. I would agree, except they make her sit at the kids' table. and her husband is okay with that? Screw that noise, OP. You are not the idiot. You've put up with this nonsense long enough, and then some. Hubs watched all of this, from the adult table the whole time, so I didn't think you owe him any negotiation over this. Not to mention what a lousy example these in-law gatherings are for your daughter to see you so demeaned. Have a great holiday this year. Not the idiot. People saying you are unilaterally making a decision about your daughter, ignoring that your husband has let you unilaterally take care of her during dinner time anyways. If you don't go, is your husband going to sit at the kids' table? No. Like, does he make the plates for your daughter or do anything for her while you're at his parents'? Or does he feed into that crap in their environment? The fact that his mother started yelling at you about her hurt feelings instead of discussing your concerns is a huge red flag. Does your husband defend you when his family makes passive-aggressive digs at your food? Have you asked why you have to sit at the kids' table? He tells his family to knock it off. That's about it. I have asked, and his mother always says you are there to help the kids. Since the daughter is our first child together, and his siblings have 5 kids altogether, his family thinks I should be the one to watch the kids. They call it more child experience. I have been dating this guy Mark, who has a teen kid, Jennifer, for a while now. I've only met her a couple of times, so we aren't that close. However, I started seeing her more often after moving in with Mark during his custody time. We get along fine and I think we're bonding well. There is just one issue. Since I grew up in poverty, I have hated wasting food. Jennifer has an issue with food. I'm not talking about being a little cranky when hungry. She would cry and scream and even break things if dinner got delayed by half an hour. During her last visit, work was very hectic for Mark and me. Mark had to go to the office while I worked from home. Since I knew how busy I would be at the end of the day and how Jennifer gets, I woke up early to prepare breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I informed her the same. End of the day, I was in so many meetings and calls, and Jennifer barged in 15 past her dinner time and told me to serve her dinner. I reminded her that the dinner was in the fridge. All she had to do was heat it up. She came back 15 minutes later and told me that she threw the food away, and now she wanted me to give her a snack for the time being and make her something else. I told her that I was not going to do that, and then locked myself inside the study. I could hear her screaming and crying, and I refused to give in. Once my work was done 2 hours later, she was still crying. She never heated the dinner. She tried it cold, didn't like it, threw the entire dinner for 3 away, and then started demanding me for a freshly cooked dinner. She begged me to cook her something, and I told her that I already did cook her something, and that she threw it away. I told her she could either cook for herself or wait until her father came home and he could cook for her. I went to bed hungry as I was so tired. The next day, Mark told me that he didn't get home until midnight, and she was still sobbing when he arrived. Although he agrees that Jennifer was acting entitled, he also says that I should have just cooked her something once my work was done, as I knew about her food issues instead of letting her cry for hours. I got angry and told him that I was not cooking for either of them anymore. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. Barring any serious special needs, this should have been nipped in the bud years ago. I could cook my dinner, a basic grilled cheese, when I was even younger than her. I certainly wouldn't throw away food enough for 3 people. Sometimes there has to be a harsh lesson that the world doesn't revolve around you. Not the idiot. Is she okay? Having a meltdown as a teenager because food is a little late is quite extreme. And to be still sobbing by midnight? And to throw out the whole meal, everyone's portions, after demanding her father's girlfriend make her food? Holy smokes! Just reading this gave me anxiety. My mother would have sent me to a boarding school, and this kid just felt totally comfortable doing that? Christ, maybe she needs therapy. Not the idiot. She threw the food away? You are not her cook or maid to do what she wishes. Unless she has a medically diagnosed problem, throwing away food for 3 people cannot be condoned when both of you are working. That's sad. Why is Mark enabling her behavior? Does he expect you or himself to cook for her entire life? He really needs to discipline her. She's never going to be independent or function in the real world if that's how she acts. She's a big girl, She can cook her own food. I don't know how you put up with that kind of behavior. So my brother is 51, his mistress is 37, and my niece is their baby. Backstory: my brother had an affair while married to his wife. They had 5 kids. After that, he quit his job and they moved in with his in-laws because my brother's wife decided to try and work things out. My brother's mistress got pregnant. She decided to quit her job too. She was evicted from her previous rental, leaving my niece homeless. I ended up having a lot of family pressure to allow my brother's mistress and my niece to move into my rental to create a stable environment for my niece. Eventually, I agreed to allow them to move in with a couple of conditions. Number 1, pay $500 each month. Most of it goes to the cost of the utilities. Number 2, no dogs. The mistress agreed, since the rent is extremely cheap, and let us know she'll be starting her new job soon. The first month I received half the rent. Then the last 5 months, nothing at all. It's become a burden for me to keep them there. I am working additional hours to cover the expenses. My brother's mistress never went to work. I have tried and tried to talk to them. I'm trying to work things out. It's going nowhere. I gave his mistress a 30-day notice to move. During that time, I found out she was pregnant with baby number 2. My brother's wife kicked him out, and he moved into the rental with his mistress. They didn't leave after 30 days. They ignored my attempts to talk to them, so I served a 5-day notice. Still no reply, so I went to court and filed for an eviction. Since they were served papers, my phone has not stopped. Just about every family member has called me upset. My dad told me to forget it. He feels like my brother needs to man up and take care of his kids, both from his wife and mistress. My dad told me to put my kids first. But my mom, however, is livid. She told me that I would be responsible if my niece and new baby were taken away by CPS. She said my kids are old enough to understand mommy working extra hours in the name of supporting family. She feels like I should continue working overtime and paying for their expenses until the new baby arrives in 7 months. Am I the idiot for kicking my brother's pregnant mistress to the curb? Not the idiot. And your brother is still cheating, yet somehow none of this is his responsibility? Send them to your moms. Don't ask. Just tell them they have to go. And mom loves them so much. It's a win for everyone. You stop being taken advantage of. Your niece has a safe place, and your mom can enjoy more time with the adulterous duo she's so worried about. Tell your mom you understand the extra hours she'll be working in the name of supporting family. Not the idiot. And your mom is likely the reason your brother is an entitled tool. Has she always coddled and defended him like this? This is pathetic. They're 2 middle-aged, irresponsible idiots. They are too old to be this stupid, and they need to deal with the consequences of their choices. Also, how pregnant is she? Baby is due in 7 months, so only 8 weeks pregnant? A lot of people barely know they're pregnant that early, and you found out after you served 30 days notice? I mean, it could be true, but the timing is suspicious. Is she really even pregnant? Yes, she is pregnant. My husband's theory is she got pregnant on purpose, knowing I wanted her to cover the expenses, get a job, or move. He thinks she did it to try and gain sympathy from our family. Dude, your brother is 51, and he's still mooching off of you? That's gotta say something. And they will continue to do so unless you change something. Also, ask your mom to house them and feed them, since she's so worried about them. You're not responsible for raising someone else's children. They're completely capable of taking care of themselves. They just choose not to. Don't be their scapegoat.